Good morning, everyone.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, good morning to everyone, and thank you again for joining us today. So today we're going to go through managing Apple Made Easy, and we've got Jamf joining us on the webinar as well, and we've also got Melly from our Smart Desk side as well. So, just a quick sort of look over the agenda and what we're going to discuss. So we're going to go through the Apple threat landscape and managing Macs, and that will largely be done by Adam from Jamf, and we'll do introductions shortly. Then we're going to cover a little bit about Intune and Apple MDM and sort of how they compare, and then there's going to be some time for Q&A at the end as well. So we've got Karis on the Q&A. So if you have any questions, we'll pick those up at the end, but feel free to drop them in there as we go through. And with that being said, this is our presenter lineup today. So obviously I'll do myself first. So my name's Sam. I'm the tech solution specialist here at Apple and Jamf. So my role is pretty much looking at our solutions and services around Apple and Jamf. And we've then got Adam from Jamf as well. So I'll let Adam do a quick introduction.
Yeah, hello everyone. I think cybersecurity strategist sounds pretty cool as a job title, but I'm also a father outside of Jamf, and when my 5-year-old asks me what I do for work, trying to explain that to a 5-year-old is quite difficult. So what I landed on is that I tell people stories, and often these stories are about how the good guys protect themselves against the bad guys. So yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy the story we have to tell today.
Thanks, Sam. And yeah, that's a good story there, Adam. And yeah, so I'm Melly. I'm the strategy manager here at Smart Desk, and yeah, I help charities and not-for-profits to build kind of IT managed service solutions that are the right fit and align with kind of larger strategic goals and missions that they have. And yeah, supporting them with their IT strategies, technology roadmaps, covering areas like infrastructure, IT operations, service delivery, security, device management, as well. And yeah, very happy to be here today and in this space with everyone.
Thanks, Melly. Thanks, Adam. So I'm just going to quickly do a quick sort of introduction and a bit more about academia itself. So a quick sort of snapshot overview there. So established in 2003, thousands of valued customers. We're a Jamf MSP partner as well as a Jamf Elite partner as well. So that's some of the top level accreditations. We're also an Apple authorized education specialist as well. And we have sort of Apple authorized repair center as well. So a lot of expertise around Apple, and then obviously with Jamf, the management side of that. We've got over 300 people, over 110 people in our technical specialist roles, and 5 UK offices as well. So quite a broad range of abilities there as well. I'm going to pass over to Melly to sort of go through the acquisition that Academia made with Smart Desk, and kind of what that encompasses and brings into Academia to make both of our businesses sort of stronger together. So over to you, Melly.
Thanks, Sam. So yeah, Smart Desk, we are now part of Academia Technology Group, and we are an IT managed kind of service provider specializing in the kind of charity and not-for-profit sector, kind of that kind of managed services arm and branch. And Smart Desk was founded in 2011 actually, and was built entirely to serve the kind of non-profit sector. And we've been going 13 years providing kind of strategic support, IT managed services. And about a year ago, it was when it was formally kind of announced that we became part of the wider group. And our vision is for charities to reach further through better use of technology. And our mission is to accelerate IT strategies through technical solutions and streamlined operations. And it's really important actually that these kind of services and solutions are tailored and right-sized for our customers really. And we pride ourselves on being kind of strategic, kind of proactive partners as we work through challenges together. So on screen, there's just there's some logos there of just a selection really of charities and not-for-profits we work with. We do provide IT managed services to around 60 charities, and we provide them with kind of day-to-day IT support. We support a further 50 actually for just one-off project work. So things like cyber essentials, information security projects, information governance projects as well. So yeah, we're able to, through our holistic kind of solutions and services we can provide many advice in those different areas. And as you can see there, they really do range in size. We have some that are quite small, and they can range to the large international charities. And we are very lucky to be able to work so broadly across the sector with all these different organizations, and everything we do is about giving back to the sector and kind of with those shared learnings and expertise, like what really we're here to do today. And one challenge that we hear kind of it does pop up as a challenge is that on kind of Apple devices, Macs and iPhones, and charities often have, let's say, a rogue handful of Mac devices, and we know this, and it's all about kind of better control and management of those Macs. And even though Macs potentially could be a minority in your estate, that we find they're often used by SLT, creative teams, like those in the design, fundraising areas, partners, consultants. So it's all about a way to better control and manage those Apple devices and giving them the attention they likewise need. And on that note, very happy to pass over to Adam, who will be able to show us a way we can do this.
Thank you, Melly. So yeah, great to be speaking with you all today. As mentioned, I work for Jamf, based out of the UK. But Jamf obviously are a global organization, headquartered out of the US. But we do have a large number of customers, partners, and employees who are all based in EMEA and obviously in the UK. And our customers, as you can see, there's some impressive numbers on here, but they really are varied in terms of we support large global enterprises that everyone sort of knows and hears of on a daily basis, but we also do some very specific work with different industries, including charity and education and healthcare, for kind of some quite niche and novel use cases. So there's a lot of different sort of areas of where Jamf can maybe fit into a business, but obviously the focus is always bringing back to Apple and mobile devices. Now, Apple in general has seen a bit of a surge in terms of the adoption of their devices, and maybe I'm understating that in terms of the number of Apple devices that are used globally. Now, you may have seen this reflected in your own organization. I think traditionally organizations such as the industry that you all work in have mainly and still are predominantly Windows based, but maybe you're starting to notice more MacBooks entering the workforce, more iPads, certainly more iPhones, especially if we incorporate BYOD into the equation. And I think what is kind of the underlying statistic or theme here is that this is a trend that isn't going away. We're seeing more Apple devices being brought into enterprise environments, and actually there's numerous benefits behind that in terms of productivity, return on investment, cost savings, behind adopting these type of technologies that a lot of users are using on their sort of personal lives on a daily basis. So we're not just sort of solely focused on that Apple ecosystem though. So before any of you sort of think, hang on a minute, I've got only a handful of Apple devices, is this the right sort of session for me? This is all about how we can bring in, if it's just one or two Apple devices or hundreds and ultimately thousands of Apple devices. This is the idea behind this session, is how we can bring that into your overall technology stack. So we have really strong integrations with other technology providers. Today we'll do a special focus more on Microsoft, but equally, yeah, if you are Google or you have a lot of work with solutions like Okta, there's different ways we can integrate with your existing technology stack to enhance what you're doing in that space and bring your Apple devices, your ever-growing Apple devices, in line with the rest of your estate. So this might be familiar to a lot of you in terms of the current cycle that you may be facing, or maybe in the past you've faced with Mac, in terms of Macs being brought in to the business. There may be a minority platform. You've got a couple of users that insist on using Mac, but there's been some challenges behind that, maybe not using tooling that's built for Mac, or not fully understanding how and where it can sit within the organization, which ultimately, as the title of this slide suggests, leads to a bit of a vicious cycle. So that is what we're trying to sort of help with in terms of removing that challenges you face with bringing in Mac. So it starts with management, and this is really what Jamf is best known for. This is where we built the company 22 years ago. And for anyone who's not familiar, that is the kind of origin of Jamf, and our history was to do with we had the founders of Jamf were at their university in the US, realized there was a load of MacBooks that were being used, but there was no way the university could manage them correctly. So they built and developed software to kind of solve that challenge, and it's obviously snowballed and evolved from there. But management is really where it starts with. So what we can offer here is the ability to deploy zero-touch management settings and configuration to your Mac, or your mobile devices as well, which we'll touch on mobile later on. You can immediately apply policies from a compliance point of view to make sure that these Macs are compliant from day zero. So as soon as the user gets a new Mac, or indeed as soon as you enroll a Mac, you can set it up with compliance benchmarks to ensure that it's compliant to industry standards, especially if you are sort of in particular areas of what you do, needing to be compliant. It's very important to a lot of businesses. So we can kind of harden the Mac straight out of the box. So it's going to be preloaded with the settings and configurations that you need, preloaded with the applications that users need, and from a security point of view, hardened correctly. So certain OS versions enabled, certain Apple security features enabled, and you have visibility of that. What we also do on the Mac is we're leveraging declarative device management, which is a framework provided by Apple. Our sort of feature here is called Jamf Blueprints, which allows you to, as it kind of alludes to on that bullet point, provide that same day sort of management or configuration for settings or restrictions. So what we mean by that is, if, for example, there's a new operating system that is update, which is made available from Apple, maybe it contains significant security fixes, Blueprints will make sure that this happens automatically on the device without the user or the admin having to actually do anything or worry about this. You configure these blueprints that you set up a rule that states when this event happens, take this action on the Mac, and it will do that for you automatically, again, without interfering with how the user uses their device. So again, we'll go into more detail on that in a second, but management is the kind of the fundamental element. And as I mentioned, we are going to focus a little bit on your Microsoft investment, because we're not looking to replace it. So if you already say, look, we're already using Microsoft for a lot of our endpoints across the organization, do we need an additional tool in place? And what we're really doing here is filling that gap that Microsoft tools maybe are leaving when it comes to Apple devices, because Microsoft tools do a brilliant job at managing and securing your Windows environment, but as hopefully you'll all attest to, if you have experience of it, it doesn't necessarily meet the criteria or the expectations that you would need for your Apple devices. That is what we're offering here. So once we've gone beyond management, we then move into more of like your how the users actually use the Mac when it comes to accessing work resources. So I mentioned earlier, we have applications that are automatically installed and configured. What we'll also be doing at the same time is setting up your users' identity integration with the Mac. So we know that this Mac belongs to this user, and then that will automatically allow the user to access their business applications seamlessly. So from a user's point of view, they can access work applications and work data straight away without any friction. But from your point of view, they're doing so on a device which is to be secure, and they're accessing it on a device which is trusted, and it's through a secure sort of channel. So you're not just opening up, giving keys to the kingdom to your entire sensitive data. It's ensuring that if users are going to access these applications on these devices, you have visibility of that and you have control and security over that access. So this is delivered through Zero Trust Network Access, or VPN, or we can sort of integrate with existing conditional access workflows. If you've got those set up with Microsoft and you want to sort of have the consistent policy for conditional access, we can bring macOS into that as well. What's really important especially from a security point of view, is to be able to provide same-day support. So we've got a really proud track record at providing same-day support when Apple release their new versions of operating system. And why is this important from a security point of view? Because a lot of the time these OS updates are containing critical security vulnerability fixes. So when Apple have identified a vulnerability within the previous operating system, they push these updates through to fix that vulnerability. Now, if you are running devices which do not support that latest version of OS, you're then left with a headache or a dilemma. What do we do? Do we update to the latest OS, but we then run the risk that our security tool doesn't support it? Or do we keep the device on the old version where our security tool is supporting it, but it's not protected against the latest protection? And not to mention, I'm sure you will have certain users that insist on updating to the latest OS the second it's released, so that they can get access to all the new features or all the new emojis that Apple have now made available in the operating system. So fortunately, you don't get that headache with Jamf. So then we look at more of what we can do from a security point of view. Now, there's a lot of built-in security that's already in macOS, with sort of certain features that Apple sort of build as standard within macOS, with XProtect, Gatekeeper, or actually the hardware itself. But what we are doing in this area is enhancing that security. So we give you visibility as to what of those security functionalities is or isn't enabled. We provide protection against network-based attacks, which Apple cannot do out the box. In addition, we collect a load of really useful and relevant telemetry that can be integrated into a SIEM solution. If indeed you are using a SIEM solution, or you have parts of the business do use a SIEM solution for advanced threat hunting, or you want wider visibility of the security risk that's currently being posed to your organization. So really what we're doing here is we're not looking to rip and replace your existing endpoint security tooling. If you are already using a solution that is working on your Macs, and you have it also running on your Windows devices, that's fine, no problem. We understand why the attraction of having a single pane of glass for security especially is important, and why you would want that. But ultimately there are gaps that these Windows first solutions might leave on your Mac from a security point of view, that we can fix and we can fill. And we can complement and coexist with any of these security tools and others. So it's not a case of having to decide which one do we want to go for. We can work alongside any of these type of solutions. So let's shift now to more of like a demo of what these might look like for both the users and the admin. So one of the first things that we offer from a security point of view that is really different is the protection against Mac specific attacks. So we have a dedicated threat research team that is solely looking for threats and vulnerabilities that are just targeting macOS. We then have these analytics within our console, which is looking for these different techniques that an attacker might use, different vulnerabilities they might be looking to exploit. So you can get this real-time analysis of whether there is a security risk happening. Now, again, this can be set up and configured as a set and forget, or you might want to integrate this into SIEM solutions, but there's not really This is not like a heavy sort of setup or shift in terms of your workflow. What we also then provide you your users with is protection against web-based threats. So if, for example, we have a user that clicks on a phishing attack, and again, we've seen recently a number of examples in the UK, unfortunately, of well-known brands such as Marks and Spencer, which have had cyber attacks, which at some point in that attack chain, there was social engineering and phishing attacks at play or responsible for part of that attack. So it's very important that we have protection on all endpoints against these type of threats. So if with Jamf, if a user does click on a phishing link, you know that they'll be protected. The phishing link will be blocked as demonstrated there, and the user gets a nice clean notification to explain why they couldn't access that website that link they were trying to click on. I mentioned we do telemetry. So telemetry is the collection of data from the Mac, which is kind of very deep and wide in terms of the where we're collecting that data from. But it's no different to what telemetry can offer on Windows or your other devices. But really, what we're doing is offering this for your Mac as well, so we can collect data at a very sort of expansive level across your Mac OS estate, integrate that into your SIEM. So again, this is a set and forget. You don't need to be managing this on a continuous basis. And then what this will give you in your SIEM solution is understand if there are any security events that are happening, and maybe they're coexisting across your estate. So it could be that on your Mac, a user has installed a particular application, and that same application a user has also installed, a different user has installed on their Windows application. Now, that application, upon installation, has then requested the admin privileges to change on the device. And again, this could be happening across both Windows and Mac OS, but you maybe don't know, and you don't have that kind of insight. This is what telemetry will then do. Tell you when these applications are installed, if they are requesting access to things which they shouldn't have access to, or indeed if they are potentially indicating a security event has happened. What we can also do is remediate threats. So if a user in this instance is taking a screenshot and you do not allow screenshots of sensitive applications, you can see here the screenshot was taken, but the user received a prompt to advise that this is not actually, again, this is not allowed, part of our company policy, and the screenshot has been removed. Maybe I'll just play that out for you again, just appreciate that demo was quite quick. So what we're effectively doing here is we're detecting that the screenshot has taken place of a sensitive application. We've then informed the MDM element of our solution that has the ability to remove screenshots from a device, and then that has been action for you. So again, you don't need to necessarily do anything in terms of manually intervening here. This will all happen automatically, but great way to help with any kind of DLP, data loss prevention policies you might have. So that's just a snapshot. I appreciate we've gone through some of those quite quickly into what we can offer for Mac. But really what we're doing here is giving you this one solution that brings your Mac in line with your Windows estate. It's really simple to set up and configure, but there's a lot you can get out of it in terms of additional benefits, which obviously the team at Academia are best placed at being able to help you set up and configure that to meet your goals and meet your requirements that you might have. And ultimately, what we're then hoping is this then turns into a virtuous cycle for Mac. So you sort of move from Mac being the kind of ugly stepsister of the device estate and actually bring it in line so that users have the ability, if indeed you want to go down employee choice routes, to choose Mac, because you know if they do choose Mac, the benefits are there and we can manage those as easily or even perhaps more effectively than we can currently manage our Windows. So again, for those of you that are prefer kind of text as a way of illustrating it, this is effectively what I've just summarized, but in text form for anyone that is interested in that. And I can hear everyone taking screenshots as I speak. So now let's look at mobile. I mentioned at the start, like we view mobile very much the same as we view Mac when we sort of talk about the Jamf offering. Mobile for us is also Android, so we will sort of touch on that as well. But what we're seeing is businesses are, again, across all size of organizations are using mobile devices, maybe without even realizing. You might not necessarily appreciate how much users are actually using mobile devices, but majority of enterprise endpoints are mobile when we sort of bring in BYOD and users accessing some form of company application or data on a mobile device. And actually, the bottom statistic here is really what I find telling, the fact that majority of IT executives believe their employees cannot now do their job effectively without their mobile device. Like I for one, on my mobile device, I obviously have access to all my emails, my internal messaging application, video calling, its internal expenses, CRM system. There's a lot that I can now do through that mobile device, which means I can be a lot more productive when I am traveling or I am sort of not at my desk or at the office. So there's a lot of benefits behind enterprise mobility, but also there are potential security blind spots we just need to be aware of. If we are going to embrace enterprise mobility, we just want to ensure that we're aware of the security risk, which I'm sure a lot of you are. So we found, this is our own research, that at any given point, over half or just about half of devices are on a out-of-date version of OS. So I mentioned already the importance of keeping devices on that latest version of OS. But if users aren't updating, that obviously is a vulnerability we want to just ensure we have insight into. It's not just operating system. You could have users that are running applications which are operating with known vulnerabilities. So we want to ensure that security awareness on mobile is there. And there's other statistics that we can sort of delve into later on. What's also interesting is compliance frameworks globally are now have some form of mobile requirement. So the one in the middle is really what's going to be relevant for this audience, is Cyber Essentials. So in the UK, Cyber Essentials, hopefully you're familiar with what it is. It's a compliance standard that we can all look to meet to effectively tell our customers that we take security seriously and we handle data correctly. Now, a lot of these compliance frameworks now have mobile requirements, which can only be met by either using an MDM. Some instances you require an MTD. So, for example, NIS2 in the EU is the directive for EU organizations. They require that your mobile devices, BYOD or corporate, must have some form of blocking phishing attacks. They also require that these mobile devices, if you are connecting them to business applications, must have a secure access, which is only achieved through VPN or ZTNA. So the interesting, Cyber Essentials is a little bit more lenient at the minute. It's just they require the devices to be managed and only allowed to install apps from official app stores. But we might see some changes in that space in the future. But really, what do you need to do for mobile devices to make sure they're successful? It can really sort of bubble down to these three areas. Like again, with mobile across iOS and Android, there's a lot of native security features that are installed into these devices. You just want to make sure that you're leveraging those and enhance them where you can. We can do that by getting visibility into how they're being used across the organization, and then where appropriate, increase security without impacting how the user uses their device. So what Jamf offers in this space is a unique offering. We can provide a combined solution of MDM, MTD, and ZTNA, so zero trust network access. We leverage sort of native frameworks that are available to us within iOS and Android to effectively deliver, as it mentions there, a purpose-built mobile offering. So on iOS devices, we do things like on-device content filter, which is a framework available within iOS that allows us to do network security on the device. So if a user clicks on a phishing link, we block the phishing link from being accessed, all done locally on the device. So we don't have to route traffic to a proxy or a VPN. We have built-in threat intelligence, which again, like for Mac, we have a dedicated branch of our threat research team, which just focuses on mobile. We also use a bit of AI, and I think we've done well to get 32 minutes into a webinar before mentioning AI. So apologies for those who are doing an AI bingo, but here we go. But we use an AI tool to detect zero-day attacks. But we also can just give you insight into if you're not sort of too worried about that proactive nature, you just want visibility. We show you all the applications which could be vulnerable, or the websites that could be sort of deemed a risk on a corporate-owned device. For BYOD, we don't do that level of visibility. We're sort of more focused on the kind of secure access to business applications through a VPN tunnel. So a couple of demos of this in action. We have here the ability to automate software updates. So if indeed a user has an outdated version of OS, again, this is leveraging declarative device management on iOS. We can automate that the latest version will be installed without them having to do anything. This is one of the simplest but most effective security measures you can take. If you keep the devices running the latest version of OS, you don't allow the users to download apps from unofficial app stores, you're going to be protected against a lot of threats or vulnerabilities that could target mobile. What we have here is the ability to automatically prepare and install that update without the user having to do anything. And again, as an admin, you also do not have to do anything once you set this up. It could be set and forgot. We also have different methods of implementing ZTNA to a mobile device. So WireGuard is what we have for your Android users, where we integrate with your identity provider to ensure that we know that this user is this device belongs to this user. If the user hasn't integrated with their identity provider, they will not be able to access the application. So really kind of simple in terms of the kind of requirement here. Once they've set up that integration with the IDP, we know that this device belongs to this user. They can connect to via the secure tunnel and access your business applications. For network relay, it's even easier. So for iOS devices, we're leveraging network relay, which is the kind of enterprise equivalent to iCloud private relay, which allows us to give secure access to business applications on an iOS device. But we also are in the background using device attestation, integrating this device with the user's identity before the user actually even gets the device in their hand. So you can, at the box, have this integration complete. So we now know this device belongs to this user, and therefore they can access the application seamlessly. We also deliver network security, as I mentioned. So this could be done at the DNS level. This could be done on the device, as I mentioned, for your iOS devices, which gives you that protection against phishing attacks I mentioned earlier. If a user clicks on a phishing link, the phishing site will be blocked. What you might also want to implement this for is acceptable usage policies on a mobile device. So if you do give users an iPhone, Android, or an iPad, but you don't want them going to websites which they shouldn't be going to, especially given the nature of what you do and your company, we can apply policies that stop them going to, let's say, TikTok, stop them going to adult websites or gambling. Like this can all be implemented using the Jamf solution. So we can stop the user from installing the TikTok application entirely, but also we can stop them from going to the browser and going tiktok.com. That will also automatically be blocked. So you get that kind of complete protection and content filtering you want to set up. And I mentioned we also support Android devices. So for Android, we have management functionality, we have the security functionality. Everything we can do on an iPhone, we can do on an Android. We might do it slightly different in terms of, like I mentioned, the comparison between the ZTNA deployment methods for Android and iOS. But the end goal is still the same in terms of you get secure ZTNA policies applied to your Android devices. If you wanted to implement that, it also supports BYOD the same way we support BYOD for iOS devices. So if you do have Android, that's no problem for us at all. And ultimately, that will lead to hopefully some of these business outcomes if you are to implement Jamf for mobile. So you can align to compliance standards on mobile, especially Cyber Essentials Plus. You can get those productivity gains that I mentioned right at the very start, but all whilst providing user-friendly, frictionless security. And then across both of iOS and macOS, like I said, we're really sort of focused on amplifying the investment you might have with Microsoft. So we are a partner of Microsoft from a strategic point of view. We are a member of the MISA, Intelligence Security Association. There's other integrations we can do with their security products like Defender or Sentinel. But we really offer some key differentiators against using. It doesn't have to necessarily just be Microsoft. It could be a Windows first solution on Jamf for Mac, as you can see here. The kind of differentiators in terms of the flexibility that we provide, the comprehensive nature of what we do, the integrations that we can give you, as well as giving you that kind of safeguard or guarantee that you're protected against specifically Mac focused attacks. And then similarly on mobile, we offer that consolidation of different products, same way we can integrate with different solutions, and you're getting a comprehensive mobile threat defense solution. So yeah, really what we're trying to do is make the most secure way the easiest way. Now, what do I mean by this statement? And maybe I can give you an example of or an analogy of this in action for Apple, and obviously for Android as well. But I know the stat off the top of my head for Apple. So what I mean by this, and an example of this is with iPhone, before Apple introduced biometric security, there was about 45% of iPhones had a passcode. So this was before Apple introduced the ability to unlock your iPhone via fingerprint and then subsequently your Face ID. Only less than half of users actually had a passcode configured, because if you recall, you had to swipe up, you had to then input a 4 or 6 digit code, and a lot of users were just lazy and thought, I don't want to have to do that to unlock my phone, so I'll just leave it without a passcode. Not a great security point of view. As soon as Apple introduced fingerprint and then Face ID, it's now up to 98% of iPhones have a passcode by default. So what they've done is the user thinks, oh, this is great. I now no longer have to put a passcode in. I can just access my phone using my face. So they think it's a lot easier to now use the device. But what Apple have done is they've made the device infinitely more secure. Less than half devices to now more or less all devices have the passcode enabled by default. We're trying to do similar, and this is what, from a security point of view, you really want to try and do is find the easiest way, frictionless way for a user. So as an example, if you were to implement our ZTNA solution using Network Relay, the user doesn't have to do anything. They can instantly access their business applications, and you as an organization have ZTNA applied to your mobile devices. So that's kind of the message or theme of what we're trying to do with our security products. But we're not just security. There's a lot more that we can offer. Hopefully, if you are an existing Jamf customer, you're very aware of our community. We obviously have a brilliant partners, especially with academia, but we also have a large community of Apple experts who can offer support for anyone, sort of any size organization, big or small, when it comes to implementing or rolling out Jamf on Apple devices. So there's a lot more that we can offer, but hopefully what we can offer and what I've shown you today was interesting and relevant to you all. That does conclude my story. So hopefully you found it interesting. And I think we're going to do some Q&A. I don't know if there's been any in the chat already, but if not, maybe you can use the chat function to ask some questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Adam. And yeah, thank you for walking us through that. There has been a few questions. So before we get onto those, we're just going to quickly sort of do an overview from the academia side and what we sort of bring to the table, and how closely we work with Adam and other people at Jamf as well. So as I mentioned sort of right at the start, Academia are a Jamf Elite partner, and we're also a Jamf MSP partner as well. So currently we've got over 65,000 licenses under the MSP bracket, and many more in kind of the elite and reseller world. What that pretty much means is that as Academia, we've got over 30 Apple/Jamf engineers. They're ranging from sort of the Jamf 200 to Jamf 400 and a lot of other exams in the middle there. And we can offer a lot of services and solutions tailored to help you. We've got some in-house training services, sort of professional services for one-off tasks, integrations, things like the Jamf Connect onboarding, and things like that. We're able to help you with that. We can also undertake Jamf health checks as well. So we can take a look if you're already using Jamf, got some solutions deployed. We can take a look at that and provide you with a comprehensive report and an overview to see if you're aligning with Apple and Jamf best practice on those pieces as well. We've then obviously got our supported options as well. So we're able to offer a solution where we are there as an extension to your team for additional support. So we're there for help, advice and guidance, and sort of there as a backup if you've got any questions or want to know how you achieve certain things. And then we've got our sort of more proactive, us taking control, which is us doing a fully managed service on the Jamf side of things. So we would effectively remove the headache. Although Adam's pointed out it's not really much of a headache, but we've got the experience in managing those Apple devices. And currently, as I said, sort of 65,000 devices supported in that way. So kind of Adam's already touched on this, but just really one of the things that we see is not a Jamf or a Microsoft. It really is Microsoft and Jamf working together. They've both got their own place, and actually utilizing the best of both of those technologies and bringing those together through the various integrations can really help bolster your management, your visibility, and the reporting you get off the back of that as well. And the next one is really just sort of just giving you that snapshot overview of what this could look like. So fully managing Macs for less than £15 per device per month. So actually, if you want us to take away this headache and use our expertise to really help you drive forward your Apple adoption or how you're currently managing Apple devices, then we're able to do that for a very cost-effective method, and we can support your environment for as little as £8 per device per month. So being that trusted advisor, being that that go-to partner that you can speak to at any time, we can offer that as well. And really just kind of reinforcing that point, Apple and Microsoft can coexist. Integrations, single pane reporting, and telemetry going into Sentinel, SSO for Macs via Entra as well. Actually bringing those together and making sure that you have those better together strategy and approach. And it is a cost-effective, proven solution provider, and we help in charities across the UK currently as well. So we're sort of here to help achieve your goals. And yeah, with that being said, we'll kind of wrap up with some questions, and I have seen a few come through. So I'm going to be cheeky, and I'm probably going to take the easy one here, Adam, if that's all right. But there was a question in there about providing a function to wipe and lock Mac laptops or devices if they're stolen. And I've gone through the Jamf 200 and 300, so I know that is in there as kind of a standard feature within Pro. So yeah, absolutely, that is kind of some of the default configurations and settings that you're able to have in there. So yeah, you definitely can wipe a device. You can also lock it as well if it is potentially stolen or lost and you're not sure where that is. So you've got lost mode that's built in to the OS, and then you can secure, erase and wipe a device. If you didn't think you was going to get it back, then you are able to do that. And if you're using things like the Apple School Manager or Apple Business Manager integrations and some of the zero-touch deployments, with that security built in, you will be sort of wiping the device, but it shouldn't ever go through that activation process. So yeah, should be able to hopefully have a chance of getting that device back or having that as a deterrent. The next question that we've got, I'm going to pass over to Adam for, and this is from Dan. So we use both Jamf and Intune with integration, but currently only managing our computers through Jamf. What would be the main advantages of managing work mobile and BYD devices via both Jamf and Intune? So what's your thoughts on that, Adam?
So yeah, I think for mobile devices, Jamf, Jamf and Intune do a great job. So it's not necessarily as critical one or the other. Where Microsoft is maybe I guess lacking on mobile is certainly around some security elements. So Defender works really well on a Windows environment, but the reality is, although it supports mobile, it wasn't built for mobile. So there are some issues that you might sort of encounter, or just complications with deploying and configuring that. Whereas the Jamf security solution was purpose built for mobile, can be deployed via Intune or Jamf. So even if you're using Intune to manage the devices, you're not using Jamf, you can still deploy our security element. And it's, as I mentioned earlier, because it's purpose built for mobile, it has some specific settings or configurations that run just for the mobile OS. So you're going to get a better experience from that point of view with regarding the security element. If you just were to use either Intune or Jamf, it doesn't make much difference there. So that's the main advantage, really, is the user-friendly sort of approach to the security part of what we're doing.
Perfect. Thanks for that. And just kind of to add on to that as well is the new bundles that Jamf have released not that long ago, sort of is Jamf for Mac and Jamf for mobile. Actually, that's encompassing the whole product suite, and it is competitively priced as well. So actually, instead of just looking at maybe the security element or one part, if you're already managing Apple computers via Jamf, actually bringing all of Apple devices under one platform, but also having that extra security features available to you as well, can really bolster that experience and security standpoint on those devices. So we can certainly discuss that in more detail with you as well. I know Karis has been posting some in here as well. So how would having Jamf save the IT team time day to day? So I think Adam sort of touched on that through the presentation as well, but having things like blueprints in there where we can actually automate some of this stuff instead of having to rely on someone going in making configuration changes. Setting up some of these automations that Jamf now provide, we can look to automate and effectively straightforward streamline some of these processes that other MDMs, there might be a few clicks and configuration changes that you need to do, whereas actually we can take control of some of that. So yeah, there definitely is some advantages there. There's also some sort of deploying the zero touch and some of the from a Jamf perspective, I guess it's kind of a default basic sort of configuration that we would always lead on, but having some of that zero touch and being able to utilize that out of box experience that Apple give you actually can give you a really good user experience for new starters and sort of onboarding people. So one of the things that I've been involved in discussions with recently have been kind of that onboarding experience and how much time it takes to set up an Apple device will actually, when you can use some of the elements built in from Jamf and utilize some of the default Apple configurations that are available, using that together and deploying in a zero touch way can be really seamless. Having things like the private app store, have apps pre-configured in there that are optional and you're not going to mandate on every device, but actually having your default build pull down to devices automatically, log in using your integrations with Jamf Connect, and you're going to integrate to your IDP. You're going to have that user associated to that device. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. I've picked up on that next one. So actually some of those elements can be really successful in sort of saving time, getting devices out and into people's hands, can be quite crucial as well. So yeah, follow-up question from Claire as well, about the laptops enrolled in Mac laptops, MacBooks enrolled in N Central. So is this in addition or instead of N Central? So actually, we're doing this with a customer at the minute. So the way in which we manage that is we utilize the power of Jamf and the solutions that Jamf bring to replace N Central in that case. We may use N Central if you've got a support contract with us for remote access, although Jamf Connect does support that as well. So it may still be on there, but we're probably not going to be utilizing a lot of that. The management would be done through Jamf and the security through the wider sort of Jamf product stack. So yeah, we would say it would be a replace as opposed to in addition to. And with Intune, we would lean on the integrations as opposed to Intune for managing the configurations. But Adam sort of touched on, if it's mobile devices and you've got those deployed already and you just want to use the additional security features, then we can deploy those on Intune managed devices. So it depends on how many changes you want to make and if you want to implement Jamf MDM as your platform for managing devices, or if you just want to use the additional security features. And I think that is all of our questions. So I guess moving on from that is just for us to say thank you for taking your time to join us today. Hopefully you found that really useful. There'll be some follow-ups coming out from us as well. But yeah, thanks again, Adam, for walking us through the story you've put together around what Jamf can do and help bolster security standpoint, and Melly also for joining us from the Smart Desk side as well. So yeah, thank you very much, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thanks all. Bye.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.